All right, I decided to call this Unlocking Chordal Thinking because, when you've done a lot of playing, there's all sorts of things you learn that make things easier. And so today I'm just going to take a brief look at the key of E flat. Here's an E flat major 7 chord. And the scale, we may as well put that scale underneath there. I'm just thinking diatonically and vertically, right? Vertically meaning playing the scale that way, so it sits under the chord. And then if I play the relative minor to E major, it's always just a minor third below. Right? The same goes for simple songs, right? So there's a nice little connection there. That'll always take you in every key. It's going to take you down to the relative minor. Super important. Okay, but here in this position, I've already harmonized the scale of E flat, right? Now let's do that same scale down here under C. Okay, same notes, right? Because it's relative. Okay, so that's going to work beautifully under a C minor chord because we're still in the key of E flat. But let's take that one step further. The 7 chord would be built in the key of E flat, would be built on the D note, the leading tone to E flat. And that chord is a D minor 7 flat 5. It wants to lead to the E flat major 7, right? And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to remove your fingers. They're all in common. They're all guides. Okay, so that's my 7 chord because it's on the 7th degree of the E flat major scale, right? So the D minor 7 flat 5 leads to the E flat major 7. What about the C minor? If we're in the key of C minor, right, there's a tune that's in the key of C minor. And that chord right there is a D minor 7 flat 5 in the key of C minor. In the key of C minor, the D minor 7 flat 5 is the 2 chord. The diatonic 2 chord. And it returns to the 1 or else to a related 5 to C minor and to the 1. So that D minor 7 flat 5 chord can go to the E flat major 7, right? And it acts as a dominant chord. As a matter of fact, it's enharmonic with a B flat 9 without a root, and then it returns to the 1 chord. But in the key of C minor, the relative minor, that D minor 7 flat 5 wants to go to the C minor chord, return to the C minor chord as the 2 chord, unless we use a 5 chord as well, 2, 5, 1. Okay. Now, that has some slightly larger implications too in terms of what do I use to solo over a D minor 7 flat 5. Well, what if I play the E flat major scale against the D minor 7 flat 5, starting on D? Right? When I start on D, right, it sounds. It sounds great. So if I discover through my harmonizations and so on of scales, and I think, wow, that sounds just great over the D minor 7 flat 5, then I start moving it up and down the fretboard with that scale. And that scale now follows that chord, where whenever I see that chord, it's not the only thing that's available to play over that chord. There's lots of different altered scales and so on. But what I'm focusing on is on diatonic language, right? Language that is according to the scale. According and the chords that are according to the scale. Because what I believe in my personal teaching philosophy is, if you don't build a foundation, it's going to crumble when you get to the point of performance. I think that's what you want to do. You want to be able to perform. You want to be able to play music. You want things to make sense to you, right? And this tune comes to mind for obvious reasons. Night and Day. Night and Day goes. Won't go through the whole thing, but it starts with a D minor 7 flat 5 chord, and that is borrowed from the parallel minor key, as we just discussed, or it could be, or the relative major key. E flat major. What's particularly interesting in this tune, Night and Day, is in the middle 8, it goes to an E flat major chord, right? And so so the tonal centers are E flat major and C major, right? But so it gives this sort of little wink and nod. Hey, do you know where we're at? Well, I got a 2 minor, G7 with a flat 9, which suggests minor, but we go to major, and that gives us that nice lift. So everything is very closely related. Then we go to the related major chord, the related major of C minor. All right. Just drifts. Just back and forth to C, right? And so that's just one example of many that flip between relative minor and relative major, or vice versa. Okay, I think about that a little bit. Get that minor 7 flat 5 underneath your fingers with its related scale, right? And resolve it like a dominant chord to a 1 chord, or resolve it as a 2 chord to its related minor. All right, that's it for today.